This is DW News Live from Berlin. A Kurdish-controlled town in northern Syria braces for an onslaught from neighbouring Turkey. The people of Manbij have been through a lot since Syria's civil war started. Now, Turkish-supported forces may be poised to attack the city and oust Kurdish militias. Will Syrian troops come to the aid of the Kurds? Also coming up, Indonesia raises the threat level around Anak Krakatau. They've rerouted flights and told people to stay away from the volcano, where eruptions triggered a deadly tsunami over the weekend. And a woman takes on the male-dominated world of Tunisian municipal politics. We have a report on Souad Abderrahim, the first woman to serve as the mayor of Tunisia's capital city, Tunis. I'm Helena Humphrey. Glad you could join me. Reports from Syria say the government of President Bashar al-Assad has sent troops to the north of the country. Now, that is ahead of an expected offensive by Turkey. Turkish-backed militias have been gathering close to the town of Manbij, which is currently held by the Syrian Democratic Forces. That's a largely Kurdish alliance supported by the United States. And earlier this month, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan announced that his country would attack Manbij. It's unclear when the operation will start, but the mood on the streets of the town is tense. And I'm joined now by international security analyst Heinz Schulte. Welcome, Heinz. Why is Turkey so intent on attacking the Kurdish fighters in Manbij and elsewhere, bearing in mind that the Kurds are the main force fighting the so-called Islamic State?
Helena, you put your finger exactly on the dilemma that we have here. One man's freedom fighter is another man's terrorist. From a Turkish perspective, the Kurds are probably part of the PKK, which they call a terrorist organization that wants to set up a Kurdish independent state. And therefore, from a Turkish point of view, that is an absolute no-go. And as your report rightly pointed out, battle lines are being drawn, and these battle lines will be different from the ones that we've seen hitherto.
Battle lines are being drawn, as you point out, and with the news now that Syria is sending elite troops to the Manbij region, what is the danger that the Turkish incursion could escalate into a wider conflict?
Well, there is the real danger for that. Helena, I think it could be about shifting the tectonic plates of the entire Middle East. What is the rapport between Turkey and Russia? What is the rapport between the United States and Russia on that? Does Syria play a role of its own? We haven't mentioned two players yet, namely Iraq and Iran. And if you look at all that, it seems to me that we're looking for a major, major change of the entire paradigm.
A major change, and with that in mind, I mean, how does the US fit into this? How does its withdrawal from Syria change the dynamics of the conflict there?
Well, the American withdrawal will lead to a vacuum, and vacuums have the tendency to be filled. Will they be filled by Syria on behalf of Russia? Have the Syrians their own agenda? Will it be a Russian-Syrian agenda? And again, what is Iran and others playing in that region? So the vacuum that the United States leave behind will be very, very quickly filled by others.
Now, President Trump says that the United States will no longer he has called the world's policeman. Is US foreign policy about to radically change?
Well, that at least is a danger. And if you look at a man who is highly liked and respected in the alliance, his defense secretary resigned over the issue, you can see that there is a debate in the United States. But mind you, this debate did not start with President Trump. It started earlier. And we have to look at how do we play in the 21st century the entire scenario of balancing global interests. And we haven't mentioned the Chinese yet.
Indeed. International security analyst Heinz Schulte talking to us from Bonn. Good to have your insights. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, President Trump's decision to withdraw American troops from Syria prompted criticism from US allies and the resignation of his defense secretary. Yesterday, Trump made an unannounced visit to US troops in neighboring Iraq and suggested they could be sent into Syria when necessary. It was his first trip to a conflict zone since he became president. And let's get you up to date now with some of the other stories making news around the world. The United Arab Emirates has reopened its embassy in Damascus. The move is seen as a boost for Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. The UAE broke ties with Damascus after the Syrian civil war broke out and has backed rebel forces fighting Assad. Security forces in the east of Democratic Republic of Congo have fired live rounds and tear gas to scatter demonstrators protesting a postponement of elections due to an Ebola outbreak. The delay of Sunday's vote in some regions will mean that 1 million voters will not have their ballot counted in the presidential election. Former Madagascar President Rajoelina has been declared winner of a runoff presidential election. His rival has charged electoral fraud and asked for an investigation by the country's electoral commission. Madagascar's High Constitutional Court now has 9 days to confirm the result. Authorities in Indonesia have raised the alert level for the volcano that caused a tsunami last weekend. They've warned that fresh activity from the Anak Krakatau volcano might cause another tsunami, and they've ordered all flights to steer clear of the area. Well, Saturday's deadly waves killed at least 430 people, and since then, heavy rains and flooding have added to the hardship. DW's Anna Santos sent us this report. Germany is exploring the idea of a so-called mosque tax. It would be loosely based on the existing tax which funds Catholic and Protestant churches here in Germany. The idea is that levying a charge on practicing Muslims here would make German mosques less dependent on financial support from abroad.
The central mosque.
Tunis, the capital of Tunisia, has got its first elected mayor, Saud Abderrahim. Now, she's the first woman to hold this post in the region. Tunisia is regarded as a relatively progressive Muslim country and has seen great changes since the Arab Spring. But Abderrahim does face some male prejudice despite her competence. This report now by DW's Nada Alsares. To Honduras now, one of the poorest and most crime-stricken countries in Latin America. Nearly 50% of the population in rural areas suffer from chronic malnutrition. High unemployment and violence have also prompted many to flee north to the United States. And our next report looks at coastal fishermen who take great risks to feed their families. Some sports news now, and a recent rule change in tennis increases the ranking protection for new mothers. Serena Williams has praised the change, having returned to the sport this year after giving birth in September 2017. The Women's Tennis Association, WTA, ranks players according to a points system. Former world number one Williams was not seeded at this year's French Open, her first Grand Slam appearance following her return. The new rules mean that players coming back from childbirth or injury can use their previous ranking to enter a total of 12 tournaments over a 3-year period. To Italian football now, where Senegalese defender Koulibaly was subjected to racist chants during Napoli's 1-0 loss to Inter Milan. Controversy erupted when Koulibaly was booked for this foul in the 80th minute. He was then sent off the field after he appeared to sarcastically applaud the referee. Koulibaly claimed he was responding to racist taunts in the crowd. Napoli coach Carlo Ancelotti said his side had asked for the match to be suspended 3 times because of the chants. Time for some business news now with Ben and some wild swings on global exchanges. Ben.
Yes, it's getting very exciting.